All right. What is up, Helen? How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Stacy.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for doing this. I had you on my show, or your show, actually. Wow.
I
On
had
your,
you on my show.
yeah, I was on your show. What was it, like a couple months ago? I don't even, it was so fast. I remember like you like recorded it and then boom, it was out.
I feel like it was either the beginning or the late last year or the beginning of earlier this year.
Yes, because I remember I started, I met you through the mastermind group. And I was just like, this person's interesting. I think you actually messaged me. I was like, oh my God, stranger. But I wanted to have you on because I love your energy. And I'm just curious of how you got to this point in life and what inspires you. So I want you to actually share that. So if you can, just like share with me like a little bit about what Sexy Freedom Media is and why was it created?
It's so crazy is what's going on in the world today, and having a business name like Sexy Freedom is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is based on the freedom of expression. It's based on the freedom of, expressing yourself, telling your truths, telling your story, no matter how raunchy and absurd and crazy it is, and also showing that there's an evolution to self-growth. So freedom, there's nothing sexier than freedom. And there's always these misconceptions that, having the name, the word sexy in your business name is, if you are not somebody who has an open mindset or an expansive, awareness of your own self, or how the world can just change in an instant, sexy can be pretty triggering for a lot of people. So that's when I was like, hell yeah, I'm going with it then.
Yeah, because you know what? It's funny because there's this artist that actually did this tat for me. I don't know if I could.
What does it say?
It says desire more. So there's this
that
artist. So her name is Zena Ann, and she was actually one of the first people that I heard using words that typically humans would use for intimacy in ways to discuss what you want in life and that evolution of life. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's using sexy in a way to show that there's many dimensions of what sexy can mean. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Many dimensions. I mean, the word itself can evolve inside somebody, in their terminology or definition can be whatever you make it out to be. If you want it to belong to the porn industry, then that's on you. For me, I want that. I want the word sexy. I want it to be in my vocabulary, and I want it to be a part of my life. And I want it to be something that is internal and also external, especially with my partner.
Heck yeah. How is he, by the way?
Yeah, he's good.
He just had a birthday, right?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for commenting on it too. Yeah, he just had a birthday. He's still younger than me. He'll always be. So there's that.
It's
Happy
all
birthday.
Good.
Happy birthday. You're still younger. That's your present.
I remember because last time we spoke, I told you I was seeing someone that was a Leo, and you're seeing someone that was a Leo.
That's
so
right.
When I saw his birthday, I was like, "Oh snap, Leo season!"
Yeah. How's your partner? How's everything
She's
going?
good. We actually, her birthday was Friday, so we went to the beach on Saturday with a bunch of people. So it was actually really, really cool.
Oh, how fun! Really cool.
Yes, yes.
Good to get out.
Heck yeah, yeah. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your retreats. So I saw that you have a retreat coming up, and you've done this retreat before. What, back in 2018?
I've done 5 retreats, so this would be my 6th one.
Okay.
And yeah, so it was coming up, past tense. We actually just this last weekend changed the date, and it's just because there's a lot going on. We wanted to be successful, and and also be a place of transformation where people can come and kind of get away from the fears of everything going on. So we thought 2021 was a good year to do it, but then there's fires, and it's taking place in California. There's fires, and there's a lot of chaos going on with what's going on in the world. So I said, I would like to change the date. And the woman I'm collaborating with, Stephanie Hyde, agreed to it. And so we decided to change it to next year, early next year. So that way it gives everybody like a jump start to their year in March. So March 25th through the 27th is going to be our next women's retreat. And it's, it's really cool. What I bring to the table, I can tell you from what my angle is.
Yes.
I bring a lot of dance, ceremony, some rituals, because I personally like to, and I bring yoga because I'm a yoga instructor.
Nice.
But I like to really dig deep in the spiritual side of things. And I have an indigenous Spanish background, and I like to do dance and bring in all sorts of types of dance and release, like kind of shake up the body, shake out the spirit, and allow it to free itself. And there's much more to it, but I also like to present the idea of protecting the throne, which is something I coined and I do in my speaking engagements also, which is about protecting the mind, body, and spirit. Because, everybody's out there saying, I'm a queen, I'm a king, I'm a princess, prince, whatever it is. Well, who takes care of that castle? Who takes care of those thrones? Who's on the front lines? Our soldiers and warriors are. So you got to protect what's yours. Yes, queen. Yes, king. That was so lame. Usually it's like, yes, queen. Okay. So you have to awaken that archetype, that warrior archetype. And that's what I bring and kind of mix in with everything I do.
Roger that.
It's really fun.
Yeah, because I think it's something that we learn along the way, right? Like, tell me what about it, like for you, if you're comfortable with sharing that, like, how did you know that this was something that you had to learn and embrace? And like, is it something, I guess, that you had to learn and embrace for you to become this version? And how did that happen?
I'll tell you the simplest way. What you resist will persist. And for me, I felt the calling, I like to call it, from like a young age, but it really came from my mom. My mom was like my spiritual guide, spiritual teacher. She was so strong, a single mom of 5 kids. And just ending up in the shelters, in the women's battered homes, sleeping in the car, waking up to who knows where we were at the next day. I grew really angry, just so much anger. And I wanted to be like all the cool kids in school, have the nice clothes. And here I was wearing hand-me-downs and thrift shops and all these clothes that are cool today. But I was just so angry, and I resented my mother for it. And no matter how much she taught me about our spiritual teachings and our background, I just was so resistant to it. And it's crazy because out of the 5 of us, there's 5 siblings or 5 kids. Since I was the most resistant towards it, I feel like it called me even stronger. And now here I am. It's kind of like it was already, the seeds are already implanted, the seeds are already given to you.
Yes.
And it's watered if you allow it to get watered. And I was so resistant, and that water was just like, water is powerful. It's like, I'm pushing through and I'm going to water you. Girl, don't mess with me. And that's what happened. I was messing with spirit, and spirit came after me full-fledged.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel like that too. And I know there's so much more growth ahead of me, but I feel like we start to learn ourselves through the toughest moments. It's like, just like you said, it's like what you resist is going to persist. So it's like, because even for me with my upbringing, oh my God, my mom would always be on me, just like, look, you got to do this. I'm like, why are you on me like that? You don't do it to my other siblings, but you're on me. Like, why you take that's on me? So I realized what that is, because for some reason, I don't know what it is about that pressure, Helen. I don't know what it is, but it's like all of a sudden it's through something about that gives us voice. And we eventually get that ability to manifest it in whatever avenue we choose. But I just find it so profound, because I think I actually had a realization the other day. I was like, oh my goodness, like I just consciously realized that everything that has happened thus far is what created who I am today. And if I resisted any of it, I wouldn't have got the lesson. I wouldn't have got the teaching. So it's like, what is happening now is meant to happen, and it was given to me for a reason, as it was given to you. Because maybe if it was given to somebody else, they'd be like, I'll just like make figurines and make them talk to each other. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm a cartoonist now. Yeah. But it's through voice and dance, and that expression of what sexy freedom is. Only you could do that. Isn't that crazy?
Totally. It is so crazy. And it happens. Okay. So I'm big on don't just talk about it, be about it. I'm super big on it. And that goes on so many levels. It's not just, out there trying to help other people. It goes into your business. It goes into your partnership. It goes to, the siblings or your friends, because one of my big issues is, I was thinking about this. I was like, what are my top issues? Because everybody's got them,
Yes.
And one of my big issues is I get annoyed. Super easy. And I have to, it's like this annoyance that grows and grows and grows. And then I'm like snapping. Yeah, I'm snapping. I'm like, get out of my face, and the thing is, I'm aware of it growing and I don't deal with it. Instead, I'm like, nah, it'll go away. It'll go away. And when I have to deal with it is when I'm like, you know what, Helen, don't talk about it, be about it. Like, I kind of get down on myself, or sometimes I get down on myself, sometimes I get hard on myself, and I need the hard, not the down. I need the hard. I need the discipline. And my partner the other day, he said, your periods have been really crazy lately. Like, you're just out of control and you're really mean. And I said, man, you know what? You're right. And it's not your problem. Like, it's mine. I'm the one feeling it and dealing with it. I need to figure out what's going on. I just need to do more research on myself and do what I need to do to help myself, because it's not his problem and it's not his, responsibility. It's mine. So,
right. I think that's a beautiful moment. Like, some people are like, whoa, but I think that's a beautiful moment, because I think self-realization is one of the best teachers. So if you realizing, like, during a certain time that you're angry, now you have the beauty of questioning why, what is it?
Yes.
Because I use my app, because it'll be like, what are your symptoms? I'm like, pissed off. You know what I mean? And then I'm pissed off. Yeah. I'm like, why is it always like 3 days before I get like so angry? And I'm like, okay, what nutrients are we getting? Are we getting outside? Yeah. Like, is there something, like, is it that we have to go through it? How are we going to manifest that? What are we going to put it in? You know what I mean? And you know what the funny thing is? I don't know if you noticed this, Helen, but I thought, for example, there are certain things that I dealt with like that, like getting angry so fast, right? Because I feel it right here in my chest. And it's like, you feel it come up to your throat and you're like, yo, I'm going to scream. So I had to ask myself, like, okay, what's going on, right? And I realized a lot of it was from my upbringing, because that's what my parents did. That's how they dealt with their anger. So now my brain is like, this is how we do it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I just go. So now I'm like, what would happen if I kind of pause, insert a pause, like a little moment, just pause for a little bit. But sometimes you don't remember to pause. Do you have those moments when you don't remember to pause? And what do you do about it?
Yeah, I totally, everything you just said, like you said, we're very much alike in that area. And annoyance being one of my top ones. For me personally, I got to work out. I mention this almost all the time. Workout is my mental health. And I know so many people who say the same thing, and they say it for a reason, folks. Because I have to go destroy something, and that destroy is like my inner demons, my inner bitch, like Joe Rogan says. Like, I got to go and get it out somehow, because everything's kind of passing through. It's, like they say, seasons change. It's in the external world. It's also in the internal world. It's with every single thing. That's the power of movement, the power of evolution, growth. It's moving.
Heck yeah. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. It's so funny, because like, I'll have those moments and I'm like, okay, like, I literally just get in my car, I go drive to this park, and I just say whatever I need to say. Because I realized for me, like, I had thyroid issues in the past, and I was thinking, like, I had a good friend of mine, his name is Mirza, and he was telling me about the chakras. And he was like, look, there's something you're holding on to there. And I did some research, and I was like, okay, can this be real, that somebody could hold energy of stress in their body?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. And I said, okay, let me do some research or whatever. But thankfully, so I also had a good doctor. I had a good doctor that believed in me, which also, energy is everything. So
Yes.
What I eventually realized is kind of what you realized, is that you were given a certain power, you have to use it. So I started to do speaking every Wednesday, and I realized that that pain that I would feel eventually started to disappear. So it's like almost in a
Wow.
sense for my survival, I have to do this. I literally
Yes.
have to, because if I don't, I'm going to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how powerful the purpose is. And that's kind of like the whole point of the show, because your purpose is literally the reason why you're here on this planet. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to
Mm-hmm.
find it. It gets louder and
Yes.
louder, but you have to find it.
Yes, I totally agree. And I'm actually glad you brought that up about energy. During my workout today, I was thinking about how powerful the energy was. I was really fighting with myself on this workout because I'm exhausted. And I'm exhausted because I took 2 days off and I ate a bunch of ice cream this whole last week. And I'm not kidding. I ate like 5 ice creams. Let's keep it real. All right. When I like have a sugar attack, it's pretty bad. And
you go all in.
I'm probably past in. I'm like in the depths of it. I'm in the thick of it. You know what I mean? And and I don't even feel bad after. I'm just like, oh, I'll work out. But then my workout, I was like struggling. I was lethargic, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And but I was just like, okay, what can we do to maybe stop myself from having 5 next time? Maybe the 1, maybe 2, but 5 is ridiculous, Helen. So, and I was literally fighting. I was like, you know what? It was like round 1. I was like, round 1's good enough. I'm good. And I was like, no, you're not. You said in the beginning of this, you're going to finish 3 rounds. I was pissed. Like I was screaming. And you're talking about that energy being so powerful. And I just kept thinking, where's my energy going? Man, my energy went into eating those ice creams like it was nobody's business. And it went into being really down on myself. And it's going into all this fear all around the world. Like I'm like going down rabbit holes on TikTok and
nah, girl,
you
let
know,
it go.
and I'm just like, whoa, I need to bring my energy back in. Like where, you know, and tell myself, like, you know, my extended family just had a death this morning. And, you know, I realized, but it brings you back. It brings you back to what's important in life. And what's important is creating good memories. What's important is, you know, seeing the smiles on the people that you love and sending them good vibes and being a good person. And, you know, all these great, good feelings that some people didn't wake up today or aren't going to wake up tomorrow to feel again. You know, I know a month ago, I'm pretty sure they never saw this coming. And here it is. And I think about the same for my brother. And I think of the same about my partner. Like, what if I lost him? What if a month from now, we have no idea, but it's the end of his life, you know? Not to make a joke about this, but last night we almost hit a deer and I freaked out. And I was like, that deer could have went through our windshield. It could have been the end of us. And it was just like circling it back around to the workout. Like, okay, where's your energy going? Your energy is so powerful. You know, your energy is not going to be put in to the mob mentality. The mob mentality can steal so much your energy if you allow it to. You've got to think for yourself and you got to make your own choices. And then you've got to stand for your choices and you've got to be okay with that. And you cannot hate on other people for their choices. This is the power and the opportunity that we're given to have freedom. And it's just like, and then I finished my 3 rounds of workout.
Praise God. Yes. That's beautiful. Yes. You know, it's the fight through, you know, because I think that's, like I said, that's the most powerful thing right there, is that self-awareness and ownership of the situation. Because so what, you ate all the chocolate and all the ice cream or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So what? Like, so what? Like, yeah, you know, because that's what I had to learn too, Helen. Like, I'm still working on that, like not to beat myself up when I have those moments, like to be like, look, you had a moment. We learn, you keep it moving. You know what I mean? Don't, because I'm big on like, you said you weren't gonna do this. Why did you do this? You're never gonna get to the, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, who's doing all the put down? It's me. It's that weird voice in the background. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
about like just having a moment, be like, look, like, you know what? Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, I'm gonna go like all in on this ice cream
Yeah.
that quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But allow it, like, be like, okay, you know, cool. It's not the end of the world because there's so many other things that are happening. Like, we have to have
Mhm.
gratitude that we are even here in the first place. Just like you were saying,
Mhm.
like, you never know when you're gonna get called. You never know when your time here is done. So it's like that,
Right.
those moments we gotta be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't look like this, but I'm grateful to be here. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Are you still in like Wyoming?
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm in between. I'm Wyoming and Arizona.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm still traveling back and forth because I'm still the resident of Arizona, and
Okay.
uh, it's it's fun. It was fun, but now it's like, whoa, okay, this is traveling is it gets exhausting, to be honest.
Mm,
So you've got to kind of figure out how you're going to create some balance between the two.
mm, mm. Jeez. Yeah, I told you like a while ago, I think when we were on the show, my girlfriend at one point, she did live in Wyoming and she
Mhm.
told me a little bit about the area. I'm just like, yo, like, kind of want to visit. But then I'm like, I feel like sometimes it's going to be like, okay, where is everybody? Do you feel like that sometimes?
All the time. I'm not kidding. It's beautiful. I don't want to knock the area. It's
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. It's definitely a small town vibe. And I miss the city when I'm
Mm,
not there because there's so much opportunity in the city. But what there's not, what's out here that is in the city is I like to call them like the fear bombs. They're everywhere. And here
mm,
it's like nature, it's beautiful, you're away from
mhm,
everything. And I get a lot more time than I ever had by myself.
mm,
And it's allowed a lot of peace in my life that I've manifested, I visualized, and you know what you really seek, you will get. And then
mhm.
you get it and you're like, you know, oh, this is amazing. It's amazing. But then how far does amazing go? Like I'm
Mm.
such a mover and a shaker, you know what I mean? It's like everything I ever wanted, I get. And then I get it. And then it's here and it's here for a long, long time. And then you're like, oh man, okay, what else do I want? What else do I want? Because you cannot stay in one place for too long. It's just
Mm,
that's not the way that evolution and growth works. It just is the
mm.
way. It is
You're
the
like,
way to not be
great,
the way.
that tree is still there. All right.
Yeah.
6 days later, up, there it is.
But I'm learning to stay grounded. I'm learning. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you gotta, oh, this is a teacher for me. What's the lesson? The lesson's to stay grounded, the lessons to be,
Stillness.
yeah, stillness. And that's definitely something, even as a yoga instructor, it's definitely hard for me to have. And I really feel
Mm,
like until again, what you resist will persist.
mhm,
I've got to learn how to embrace this. And it's that is my chapter right now in life, is learning how to
mhm.
embrace and learning how to be still in this.
Yeah.
Because this is what I wanted.
Yeah. It's like I asked for that. Here we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like relationships. You ask for the relationships, here you go.
Yeah.
And then you're
And then
like,
you're like, yeah.
ooh.
You're like, oh, you mean this is every day? Every day? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it. You know, I started doing my girlfriend actually introduced to me there's a 21-day meditation on gratitude with
Mhm.
Oprah and Deepak Chopra on Spotify. So I've been doing that every day. I think I'm like day 10 in or something like that. And it's so interesting the different level. You know, it's so funny because when I was a kid, I thought it was like you're happy, sad, mad, glad, four
Mhm.
emotions. You get older and it's just like happy, almost happy, gratitude, you got like grace, you got like anger, you got frustration, you got like all these like you're like what? Like it's just
Yes.
like what when did this happen? How come nobody sent me an email on this? How do I study this? There was this guy, his name is I don't even want to mispronounce his name, Dandapani. He is a monk. First video I saw on YouTube, and he says, people will tell you, you need to concentrate on X. Like, let's say you need to concentrate on your work. You need to concentrate, everything you need to concentrate on. But nobody tells you how to concentrate. What does that mean? What does it mean to concentrate? What does it mean to be grateful and to show gratitude? Like, can I just say thanks? You know what I mean? It's not enough. Like, there's levels. Like, of course you could just like, so in your practice or like your retreat or so, do you guys touch upon gratitude?
Oh, I am such an advocate about gratitude because, you know, gratitude is deep for me. It's real deep because when you come from a place of, very little, and then you have something, you start realizing how much gratitude is so much more deeper. And it's definitely a daily practice because when you find yourself in turmoil, like I was thinking about this, while I was here, I was having kind of like oh, I missed my home. I'm homesick. I'm this, I'm that, feeling poor, boo, boo, me, blah, blah. I was kind of being a little whiner. And I realized I'm holding on to all of this, like, blessings that I've been given, and I'm not allowing it to move through. Okay. No wonder I'm feeling turmoil because I'm receiving, but I'm not giving. That comes back to gratitude, that gratitude attitude. Like, here I am thankful, but am I thankful? Because when you have that gratitude attitude, you're so thankful that you want to give also, because you want to spread that gratitude. And then I realized, I was like, okay, I need to give. So I just got a bag together and started getting a bunch of clothes that I've just been sitting on, all my nice clothes, put in a bag. What else can I give? I need to go out and buy gift bags, and found a Facebook page. And I said, I got 3 gift bags, wine lovers, got to be over 21. So I put some wine in there, copies of my books, all these like things in there. And I said, meet me at the coffee shop. I don't know you. Just meet me at the coffee shop. Let's give hugs. Here you go. Gratitude. So beautiful. Gratitude for me is so big. Again, I'm an action-based person. For me, it's not enough to say it. It's not enough to feel it. You got to show it too. And that's why a lot of everything I do in my retreats, especially, what I'm out to do, what I feel my purpose is to create people of action. And that's why I'm so big on the warrior archetype, because warriors are action-based. And there's a lot of peace, love, and happiness people out there that are all about talking and feelings. And I get that. That's your place. That is your place. But my place is the other part, which it's like, after you have that instilled in that person, let me show, like you were talking about, let me show you the levels. Let me show you how to get it from in here to out there powerfully, not just get it there. I'm talking about powerfully get it out there.
Oh yeah. That action giving is what helps us to even feel more whole, because I like the way you described it, of like passing through, because it's like almost like you receive, but where is that? Where is that going? It's just gonna go. It's like you're never gonna see it again. You got to act on it. I love that you said action based, because have you ever heard of like terminology of like analysis paralysis? Like getting stuck in the thoughts of doing, but not actually taking the action to do it. Like I suffer from that a lot. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to, okay. And I just get stuck. Have you had those moments of getting stuck? And what was the thought process behind taking the action? Like, what was that feeling like for you?
Yeah. So I've had that plenty of times. In fact, I had it for a lot of years. I was a big overthinker, big analyzer. I'm a Virgo. It definitely is a part of me. But I realized like what was happening though is I was like stuck in a dimension, and everything I wanted, like they say, what's on the other side of fear, right? I read a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. And that really changed my life, because there were so many things I wanted to do, so many things. And I was stuck inside my head because of fear, right?
Mm.
I had to learn how to, so I started programming myself, and I tell myself, don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. My branding specialist I'm working right now, she said something interesting to me also that I never heard before. She said, launch ugly. Just launch ugly. You'll learn from it. So I'm constantly learning to get out of my head and to become more action-based. And like I said, don't talk about it, be about it. You know, I consider myself as a leader. It took a long time for me to consider or to even think I was a leader, because I was always the student. I'm still a student. You know, I'm a forever student, but to say I'm in a leadership role now was pretty impactful for me. So getting stuck in your head is a daily practice to get out of it. And that's why you've got to kind of trick your brain and also fire up that burning desire inside of you. For me, it was, okay, this is what I did. Not everybody can do this, but this is what I did. I purposely would watch videos or read on stuff of horrific things happening to people, you know, that was out of their control. Like, you know, the women in other countries who were getting oppressed or murdered or raped, or sex trafficking, or kids that were abused, you know, horrific crimes, things like that. And I needed to see it. I needed to see it, because for me, it kept driving me. It kept driving me forward to want to be a light in this world. And I realized at that point, there's not enough of us. We're so caught up on, you know, the business, overthinking, comparing, you know, competing, that we're not helping enough of each other to grow. Like, there's not enough. If there's that shit still going on in the world, especially to kids, then there's not enough of us. So, and I knew that started with me, and I needed to get out of my head, and I needed to launch ugly. I needed to feel the fear and make moves anyways. I needed to stop overthinking. And, you know, if I fall, rise again, warrior. If I fall, rise again, warrior. Like, I just had to keep bouncing back. And there's so many times, even to this day, you know, I'm very open about this, like, where I feel like I deal with my bipolar and suicidal tendencies. I've been like that since I was a kid. And I know I got a chemical imbalance, but I can fight through that. Like I always say, not today, demons, not today, you know? So and sometimes I do, like, I'll get in my head, I'll be like, what are you doing? I feel so stupid. Like, what am I doing trying to keep up with the big dogs? And I'm just like telling myself, like, that's when those horrific things and that fire and that voice inside of me says, you know, you may be a little light, but you're a light. You know, that's it.
Yeah. Wow. Might as well just shut this down. I think that's enough for today. That's it. That was it.
I just get so passionate about it. And then like right after that, make some jokes and stuff. But, you know, like, it's good to have that balance, but just always know what you're what you're out there or what you're in here in the battlefield fighting for.
Yeah. You know what it is? I have to say praise God, because, you know, for someone like you to be going through your everyday struggle, or weekly or day or hourly, whatever that struggle is, like, I can only imagine what it sounds like in your mind, because I don't have your mind. I can only, you know, imagine. But I think it is so beautiful to be in a space where you are so aware that you're you know what, it's like you're aware of the dark, but that little tiny light that's in you that's maybe say like, yo, we a warrior, we this, we that. You made the choice. You made, like, that's a conscious choice. Like, do you understand, like, the level of that? Like, the level of that is wild. That's wild, because to be able to make the choice to be like, okay, I hear you, demons, I hear you, but we're gonna do this today. We're gonna do this. You know what I mean? I think it takes so much courage and power to do that, because not everybody gets to that. Not everybody gets to that.
Yeah.
Straight up, you know? And I find it interesting, because, you know, that's why I think everybody's mind is so unique, because some people be like, yeah, I just go for a run, that's it. Like, you made a choice to, like, look at all the people that are still in a state of suffering, to be like, hold on, there's not enough of us. Like, I still have something to do, because I have a purpose that I'm using to spread positivity, enlightenment, self-awareness, you know, freedom inside of thyself, to share freedom with others. and you're still doing that in a way to kind of get that vibration out there. Because now everybody that goes to your retreat gets that vibration, even if it sticks with them for a week, a month, a year, a lifetime, they get that out there. And when they go back to work, they're like, oh, guess what I did? I went to this retreat and everything. And then more people, like, that's how you do it. Like, that's amazing blessing. That's like great. That's insane. That's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm like, maybe I can get a couple books together and maybe share it with a couple of people. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to figure out what my biggest thing is. And I think that's also a beautiful place to be in. But I think for you to do that, it takes so much power. So I just want to thank you for being on that plane, because I know it's not easy.
Well, I like what you said about the vibration, like just saying the word vibration, like it vibrates in you, like, you know, like
Absolutely.
you talk about that throat chakra. And when you send out a vibration, you know, especially in all indigenous cultures, they believe in, like, when you do saging or any type of rituals, you know, it's always about your intention.
Yes.
So when I'm on social media, and I'm gonna bring this up because most of us live on social media today, you know, I posted up something that said, I'm not a liker, I'm a lover, you know, because
I loved it.
I realized, like, if I'm going to level up, it goes with all things, even social media.
Yes.
So I'm going to start putting hearts on there a lot, because I'm giving out good vibrations. I'm giving out good vibes, you know, and I scroll and see some people's, but then something inside me will say, send some good vibes. That our currency today is those likes, those comments, you know, and those shares. Though that's the currency of today. And I really think that acknowledging it, and acknowledgement is so powerful. So when I see somebody post something up and I'm like, they probably put a lot of thought into that, you know, I'm going to acknowledge them with some love. That's the way I see it. You know, it's not about just like, oh, click, click, click. Like, I'm literally looking and thinking about that person and what they probably, you know, maybe they felt something deep that they wrote about, you know, with you, with your podcast, changing your name of your podcast, you put intention into that thought process. Like, wow, you know, I'm going to show her some love. That's how I kind of feel like I am behind the phone, you know, or the laptops or computer, whatever. Yeah, you just that like vibration, that vibration. It's about vibration. I love that word.
Hell yeah. Like, you know, it's, you know, I made a decision. I want to mention that because you said about like, because I saw that post that you put up. It's like, look, I was just like, oh my God, like I do that too. Like I was like like I'm just like over here, like I got married today. Okay. I was like, no, like I'm grateful. Like I love that you found someone that you could spend time with in that way, that loves and appreciates you. I'm gonna love it. Did you know that Facebook sent me something saying that like they actually, what happens is I love posts too much. Helen, did you know that they stopped me from loving the posts?
No, because I'm a love like scattering it everywhere. I never got anything. That's so crazy.
You know what it was? I think because the algorithm realized I wasn't typing. I wasn't engaging. So, you know, it's an algorithm. They want you to engage with the post to get other people to engage. So if I just love it, nobody's going to see that. It's gonna be like, well, you got like 4 loves. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? So they want you to type. So it'd be like, you know, something about your engagement and It says, if you disagree with the decision, click this and we'll look into it. I'm like, because I'm a lover? How dare you? But I'm liking that you brought up social media because, you know, some people think that social media is like the worst thing ever created. And I'm like, of course, that's one way to look at it. Yeah, absolutely. It could be kind of, you know, something that keeps us further apart in some way, shape, or form. But I also feel like it brings us together in a way that has not been done in our existence before. You know what I mean? And I made a conscious choice a couple of years back, maybe like 6-7 years ago, to change how I use social media because I knew I was going through depression and suicidal thoughts and just like darkness. And all I would do was complain. I would just complain on social media. I was there. I would just be like, what? Oh, well, you know, making like sarcastic jokes about my life. Cause that's another thing we have to be aware of as a people of what we're speaking into existence. So I would just like sitting there, like just putting horrible things, just like, well, I guess today's gonna be another horrible day. Just like things like that. And eventually I read, the first book that I read of that caliber was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And that was the catalyst that kind of changed me into what books I was reading, who I was around, what I was spending time on, and most importantly, how I chose to use my social media. So I started to be like, well, I was listening to a lot of motivational speeches to help me get out of that episode I was in. And eventually I realized, I was like, why am I just keeping this for myself? Like, why am I just holding? I was like, what happens if I share it? And then I started little by little putting up every once in a while. And you can literally see the transition. It's like darkness, light, dark, light, light, dark, like, okay, light, just light. And that's when I said, okay, if, or rather when the universe decides my time here is done and this is still here, somebody that could be going through a tough time can go back and be like, she's right. You know what? I got another day. Yes. I'm going to make an impact. Or, you know what? Tomorrow is not always promised. Let me keep moving. You know what I mean? So that's why I always choose that. So we'd be like, oh, you're always so happy all the time. I'm like, I'm not always happy all the time. Really not. Yeah. I have dark moments. It's just that I don't share them like I used to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So is that also what you aim to do with your social media? Is that something that you thought about or so?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Everything you just said is kind of along the same way, I think, is, you know, social media. There's a lot of people who need social media breaks and they're overwhelmed by it. And I often get asked, because I'm on there all the time, you know, how do you ever get, you know, I get the same questions, like, do you ever get tired of it? Do you ever, you know, and I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that burning desire and those horrific things that are happening, and, you know, being the light. You know, you have an audience. And for me, as a leader, a warrior, or warrior spirit, queen, goddess, whatever I want to call myself, I hold myself in high esteem. And I feel there's an obligation, or maybe not an obligation, but a role that when you step into these labels or this role, you kind of have whatever you want to believe, God, spirit, divine intervention. There is a part of you that is supposed to go out and stand and be brave and courageous. And that even means in social media, because social media is kind of like a big giant machine. Okay. So I look at it like there's audience. How you were saying, if something happens to you and people, you know, can find it and use it. That's how I feel about being on social media every day. There's some days like I'm like, okay, I'm not going to post anything, you know, and that's okay. I live my life. I don't need to post on there and say, I'm going to be off, guys, for a month or a day. I don't need to do any of that. I just live, I do what I do, and that's what I do.
Right.
So if I'm on there, I'm on there. If I'm not on there, I'm not on there. But when I am on there, I really have, you know, evolved into somebody who's got a lot of intention behind it, conscious behind it, and also to keep it 100% authentic. You know, if I'm on there and I'm being a goofball, that's who Helen Edwards is. If I'm on there being a warrior, that's who Helen Edwards is. I'm not separate from the person that's in business and the person that is at the bar. I'm not separate. Okay, wait, let me fix that. If I have too much to drink, I'm definitely separate. I don't know who that girl is dancing on the bar table. I'm just kidding. No, we're all the same person. It's just a different part of me.
It is a little different. You know, you might walk a little different.
That's my wild side. But you know what I'm saying? It's all the same person. I'm going to grow from that. Who I was yesterday is not who I am today. But social media for me is not something that can break me at this point in my life. Could it change in the future? Possibly. Was it in the past? A little bit. Who I am right now in this moment, who you're talking to, I don't fear social media. I'm not scared of people come after me. Look, I wrote a whole book about my crazy life of cheating and being deceptive, hurting people, and people hurting me, because that's the reality of humanity. We hurt each other. We are deceptive, but we grow.
Yes.
And if you're going to throw a stone at me, you better look at what Jesus said. He said, you without sin, throw the first stone. So if you're going to throw a stone, man, you better believe I got a bat. I got a big one. I know how to play ball.
Stay away from Helen's house.
I know how to play ball, okay?
Don't go over there. No, I roger that. Like, you know, I'm a firm believer in science, and what science says that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if they coming to get it, they gonna get it. That's up to them, you know.
I warned you, okay? But be a good human.
Okay, yeah, it's like I'm gonna cut you, but you know what? You just have a beautiful day and stay blessed.
But I don't want to. I don't want to.
Hilarious. No, I respect that. I absolutely respect that. I mean, since you brought up your book, I want to talk about your book. So tell me, why did you decide to write a book? It's called Nothing Sexier Than Freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is it about? Why? Why?
Wow. Okay. So quickly, I watched The Notebook. If you haven't seen The Notebook, it's about this woman who's got Alzheimer's, and her husband ends up reading a story about her life to her. And they were together forever. So it's a beautiful movie. Go check it out. So I watched it, and I realized, you know, again, we can all die at any moment, you know. And at that time in my life, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I was going in life. I was working crazy jobs. I was having my son part-time. I was a hot mess, but I was a beautiful mess, to be honest. Like I had a really great time getting into craziness. But I was still at the point where I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I decided, if something happens to me, or if I get Alzheimer's, because early dementia runs in my family, that I want stories being read back to me about this craziness in my life. And at the time, I was dating and cheating and having this just absurd lifestyle with men, all different types of men. And I thought, I'll write stories about dating, cheating, and all this craziness. And 100 pages in, I got an editor, and she's the one who started asking me, well, why do you believe this? Why do you think this is okay for you? Why don't you feel anything? Because I didn't have any feeling about what I was doing. And it was through that, you know, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what you're going to do. I'm telling you, it's the craziest thing. Through just that editor asking me and questioning me made me start questioning myself. And I started questioning things, and I started writing things. And that book became a 5-year project. And the title, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, came from, I wrote a list of like 10 titles, and I had a group of people I worked with at a corporate job just kind of decide on what title it's going to be. So it was a vote, and everybody kept saying, this title is you, this is you, this is you. And I was like, okay. So I went with it. I went with the unanimous vote. And Sexy Freedom, my business name, came from the title. So it all came together, and it came together like it was like watching a movie about my life, and everything I had kind of wanted to see for my life come together in front of me, you know? So the book is about my life just kind of evolving from this hot, beautiful mess to this woman who's now, you know, growing into wanting to be more of a good human in life. And the last chapter is dedicated to my brother, because the day after I launched my book trailer, my brother took his life. And I just couldn't close it on this girl who's, you know, evolving. It needed to have a bigger message, because I've always had suicidal tendencies. And when my brother took his life, I was just like, well, there it is. This is what suicide really looks like. And I had to write my last chapter in dedication to that. And that's where I introduced the warrior and how much the warrior was such a big part of my life. And I ended it on that chapter, not to ruin anybody and, you know, read the book.
Yeah.
But I wanted to leave a powerful message, and I did. And I've gotten so many people just who privately messaged me, both men and women, who said, thank you. This book has changed their life. Because I was 100% raw. I'm telling you, I didn't hold back. I talked about how I was a coward for staying in relationships I knew I wasn't supposed to be in. You know, coward is a big deal to confess,
Mm.
you know, but it took confession to step into my courage. And so that's the I wish I had like a more like, you know, a good like a memorized script about what it's about, but I get so passionate when I get this question. And I know a lot of business people out there and a good authors like, this girl. Well,
look, I appreciate you being who you are. Like, you know what I mean? Because if that's the way you feel to put it out there today, then that's the way you feel to put it out there today. Could it be different tomorrow?
Yes.
Possibly, but
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I want people to read your book because we spoke a little bit before when I was on your show, and you know, I started to realize like how, you know, you think and how important it was for you to get this book out and to just like kind of share your story. You know, I think it's interesting time in your life where you're able to say what you feel and how you dealt with certain things in your life, to be able to just like have the ability to share it and not fear, or even if the fear is there, you're not listening to it too much, but like it's out. You owned it. You owned it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I think that's like in a beautiful place because there's so many people that have gone through things, you know, whether it's, you know, like your story or other than that, or been abused or whatever the case is, and they hold it inside and don't realize how much that holds them back by not sharing their story. You know what I mean? So for you to share it, own it, and to put it out there and be like, look, this is what happened. Here I am. What you want?
Yeah, own it.
Yeah. You know, I think it's so funny, those two C words, from coward to courage. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's gonna be your next book title. Let me stop. Just kidding. Well, are you writing another book, or are you kind of like you're here for now on this book and still there? Like, what's the plans for you now, Helen?
Yeah, so I've got a group coaching program coming out and a course coming out. And then also I'm writing a book with my son who's in the Air Force.
Nice. Okay.
And that's crazy. So we have a book title. We're not going to say it yet because we're working on the book cover right now. It's going to be definitely not going to take 5 years. And it's the next chapter. It's the next book to like who I've evolved into, you know, as a queen warrior, I like to say, or, you know, a leader, always a student, but it's going to be good because we're going to have two views, both a man and a woman, and a young man. And he's 21, you know, I'm 40, I'll be 41 soon. But it's going to have these two different views of the warrior archetype and protecting the throne, and really just handling situations. So we're still writing it, but that's what's next. And this is pretty big for me with the group coaching and coaching. You know, going back to where we began, what you resist will persist. If you listen to old podcasts, I was like, I'm never going to be a coach. I'm never going to coach people. Like, I'm not that person. And I was always referring people to other coaches, and people were constantly coming to me, and I was like, no. And I'll tell you why I always said no. I'm gonna be straight up about it, because I love to drink and I love hitting the bars and I love getting crazy and partying sometimes. You know, it's all about it. And I didn't want people to judge me, so I never stepped into that role because of it. And I finally got somebody who said, no, I want you. And I said, no, I know somebody that, no, I want you. And I was like, but I mean, no, I want
like, I'm hungover. Like, why?
Yeah. I was like, I can't do this. But I loved what they said, you know, because I remember I was like, okay, you know what? They want me. Let me just write up something to see if we even, you know, if I can help them. So I'm really good at creating stuff like on the fly. So I just created some kind of questionnaire thing, and I read through it and I was like, I could help them with this. Okay, I can help them. And next thing you know, I had 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients, like just kept getting them. And
yes.
yeah. And I'm not a certified coach, but I'm an experienced. I can coach you into something.
Yes.
I can mentor you into something. I could be the leader and bring you and pull you up to be a leader alongside with me, So that's where I started realizing my strengths were, and I loved it. And my rates, I'm a high ticket coach now. Like I'm high, and it was hard. It wasn't imposter syndrome that I was dealing with. It was fighting something that was calling me, and I was resisting it, but it was going to get me, and it got me.
So
gotcha,
funny.
bitch. It got me.
It's so funny because the same thing happened for me. I'm thinking like, look, I'm struggling right now. I'm trying to do this. Like, how can I possibly be a coach? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so funny how the universe or God speaks to you, because it's like somebody will say it, or it's going to keep popping up somewhere, or somebody, like, you're going to keep meeting people. Like, it's just weird. It's going to keep getting closer and closer and closer. And you're like, no. But yeah, it's so funny that we have those moments where we're like, we can't, but the universe saying, yes, you were called. It is you. But you're like, but I'm hungover, but like I went out last night. Like,
yeah. And also when you get into these industries, Stacey, like when you get into different industries, you think like there's this beautiful like little flower on top of the cake, and it's not. What happens is you will find coaches fighting amongst coaches, yogis fighting amongst yogis, podcasters fighting amongst podcasters, and it's like, that's when, going back to vibration and energy, where do you have it at? When I see it, I just move past it. I ain't got time for that. Because in the back of my head, I remember those horrific things I've seen, these horrific things that are happening to kids all over the world. Like, my energy is not going to be wasted on you telling another coach that she ain't got the certification and she ain't got the, maybe there's a lot of us that shouldn't be in the roles we are at, but at least we tried the outfit on to see if it fits. And if it doesn't, we could take it off and move on. But it is not your place to tell us, So go for it. Go.
Hell yeah.
Do what you're called for.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because I think I realized consciously now, because I didn't realize it before, because I'm healing myself from being a people pleaser. That's what my journey is. I'm healing myself from that. So it's like, I always want to be well liked. I always want to fit in and yada yada yada. And now I'm starting to realize, like, you don't have to. You're good. You're enough. Like, you're fine. Like, you don't have to roll with these. You don't have to have this and that to be considered XYZ. Like, it's literally the decision to realize that you are good enough, and that whatever you do has to look the way that you do it, because only you can do it that way. Nobody else is bringing Sexy Freedom Media. Nobody else. That's your thing. You know what I mean? Because I was even like looking at, because I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm like, how do I speak like Tony Robbins? Like, should I make my voice like this? Yeah. Like, I'm just like, okay, ET, like, I can't get, like, what do you want me to yell? Like, I'm not that, like, you know what I mean? And I had to get like, I'm like, am I really sitting here like trying to be like, that's not how I do this.
Yeah.
And then I had to realize that, like, the reason why people ask me for advice, or the reason why people come to me, is because it's me. You know what I mean? People go to you because it's you. You know what I mean? Yes. And I think that's like, let me know how you feel about that. I guess that'll be like maybe the second to last question. How do you feel about like being you and receiving? Like, have you ever had an issue with receiving?
Like receiving what?
Like yeah.
Because we could go a long way with this one.
I just realized I was like, girl, there's many levels to receiving now. No, I mean like, that's funny. I mean like receiving what you are called to do. Have you had issues with that? And like, is it more so like you just go ahead and take, I just dropped a whole bunch of papers on the floor. That's what I'm trying to get up here. But yeah, is it that how do you deal with that? Does it come up? Does it come up after you, like, okay, so you're now going to start coaching. Does it come up? Like, do you have those moments of doubt? Like, like, how do you deal with that?
It's totally normal. That's what I tell myself. Like, this is normal. This is actually good. I'm glad you feel doubt. I'm glad you're scared. I'm glad you might have start overthinking. I'm glad you stopped yourself. I'm glad that, so Jocko Willink says, I don't know if you know who Jocko Willink is, a famous Navy SEAL. And he's got his own podcast. He's been on Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan.
Who does it
out there right now? I love it. I love Joe Rogan.
Yes.
But Jocko Willink was on there and he's got this video and he says, when you get stuck, good, because that will teach you how to get unstuck. I mean, I don't know exactly his words verbatim, but I think about that. And he's right. When I am stuck or when I have self-doubt, like, okay, this is my opportunity to practice not only what I preach, but also use the tools that I've learned along the ways. I mean, 16 years plus, 20 years plus, the tools I learned as a child, what our parents taught us, our grandparents taught us, what our ancestors are teaching us. This is the opportunity to use those tools. So good. I'm glad I'm hearing some self-doubt. I'm glad I'm questioning myself. I'm glad I'm scared. And this is it. Because if everything's smooth sailing, I don't think I would appreciate these the receiving as much as I do. And going back to that gratitude attitude. Why am I grateful in the first place? Because it took work for me to get it. It took facing my fears and my demons. So thank you. And at the moment, there are moments where I'm not thankful, where I'm like, oh, this sucks. This really sucks. I mean, grief is one of those. I hate dealing with grief. Those actually moments suck. And I don't want, when I'm in the thick of it, I always want to sing, because there's like this song on TikTok, into the thick of it. When I'm in the thick of it, I don't want to be grateful.
I know that song.
I know you know that song. And I'm pretty sure
it's all over social media.
You just got to do it. Into the thick of it. I'm into the thick of it. Oh, I don't. Yeah, but I'm losing my train of thought. But what I'm talking about. You guys know you're smart people.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, nobody wants to deal with like loss or grief. Like, those are tough. It's like there's no step by step. Like, we have, well, technically there is like grief. There are steps, but nobody like pulls up a manual like, okay, I'm in denial today. Okay, so you need to eat 2 strawberries, mango, and it'll go away. Like, that's not how it works. Like, that's the thing about it. Grief, loss. I feel like on purpose, humans are not supposed to deal with it in the greatest of ways. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if we do, we don't appreciate what is now. You know what I mean? So it has to hurt. It has to. And it has to be that reminder to be like, look, you never know. You never know. Like it has to be hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it's in those moments where the dark moments is where we actually not only find out who we are, but we can learn our strength, and we can learn how alike we are as well with someone else, especially when it's your family is going through it. Everybody's going to go through it differently, you know? And then it's like, sometimes you can be like, whoa, like, okay, I need to be there for this person. Even when you don't even feel like you can be enough, you're just like, I'm going to be your ear, or I'm going to hold you, or I'm going to help you, help understand it with you. Like, we get to feel this together. It sucks. But you know that, like, okay, today is today. And then the funny thing is, we don't even realize, I think, when time passes to the point you're like, oh my God, it's been a year, or it's been 6 days, it's been 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, we're not supposed to ever feel comfortable with that. I don't think. I think the person, sometimes I wonder, not to make fun of this or anything, like, I wonder, like, people at the morgue, like, do they ever get to the point where they're just like, there's another funeral today? Like, I wonder if they ever feel that way, because I know a lot of them love having the ability to serve in that way, to be there for the family in a time of need? I wonder if they're numb to it.
That's a great question. You should definitely get somebody from the morgue on your podcast. I think
Yeah.
that would be an interesting story. Well, one of us should, or maybe we both should.
Both of us.
Let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
You work at a morgue, we'd like to talk to you.
Yeah. Like, how does that go?
No, I like what you said about that, because I think about that a lot too. I love you, going back to what you said about science. Like, I love science too. I think that's something we talked about last time that we had in common.
Mm-hmm.
And I love learning about biology and physiology and psychology, and just the studies are so cool, especially looking at your own life, but also adding in history in there.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about history and I think about just the reflection of everything around us, plants, animals, how everything's got a beginning and an end, and it's all about survival, and we're hardwired to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of caught up on Walking Dead right now. And
yeah. Okay, I stopped watching a while back, but continue. Yeah,
so I'm in season 10 right now. I'm a little behind too. I had to rewatch it, but I just like zombies and vampire movies. And
mm-hmm.
I always think though, and for some reason it all just kind of connects, because the strong will survive. Like, if you look at immigrants who got to this country, and
mm-hmm.
you know, indigenous people who made it to today, and it's just the strength in numbers, strength in the, you know, the humanity of that one individual. Strength is what carried people through, carried your lineage on, carried, you know, your seed. And you're right when it comes to, I don't want to say you're right, the idea of it seems very correct, because of the hardwiring that we all have to want to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we have to go through a lot of pain and suffering to keep growing and become stronger, because the strength is going to help us survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why that makes sense to me. It's just when you put it in a civilized world of where we are now versus where our ancestors were, now we're dealing with things like online bullying, virtual mobs, you know, social media, the person next door who can be a pedophile. Like, now we're dealing with different things. We're not going down and just hunting the person, hurting them because they hurt us. You know what I'm saying? It's just that now it's like all that pain and suffering is been smushed down into us. So that's why now it's like we're really dealing with ourselves more and more.
Yeah, it's so interesting when I think about humanity, and you just triggered my brain, because I was like, isn't it interesting that, say, in previous lives that we've lived, or in the past, humans used to be like, okay, who did what? They're going to kill him. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's still some unfortunate moments of that, but if you take it from the perspective of who humans used to be, or what they used to do, I should say, what they used to do is better. That used to just be normal. Like, it was just like, oh, so-and-so, oh, okay. Like, that was it. But now it is online. Now it's all verbal, or you, unfortunately, you know, you might see a video pop up every once in a while. But now, instead of like in this physical world, it's now in a digital world. And I feel like somehow that's going to be the reason why we grow closer together in some way, shape, or form, because I see it happening. I mean, I would have never met you without the internet, you know what I mean? But I think we get different perspectives, and sometimes that could be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. I mean, think about how sometimes we may feel going on social media. It's like, this person has this, I don't. This person, you know, it's depending on how you see it, but it's that self-awareness and mental toughness that's really going to help us. But the only way to embrace that is to connect with people like, say, like yourself, to be like, okay, there's this person that's this light that's sharing that there's another way to live your life. Like, you don't have to become your pain. You could accept your pain and learn from it, because I chose to do that. So now you're like sharing that story, you know? So I guess I wanted to lead this into what it means to you to stand in your power. What is that, and why is that verbiage so important to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was actually thinking about this. So wild. I was thinking about standing in your power,
Well,
and I
thank
think it
you.
has a lot to do with, yeah. I think it has a lot to do with like what's going on right now with all the
Mhm,
fear and I mean, I'll just say it: vaccine, not vaccine,
mhm,
COVID, not COVID, like
mhm,
science on both ends, mob mentality on both ends.
mhm,
And then there's, you know, as individuals, if you pull yourself out of it and just kind of step out of it, I think to myself, like, well, I'm I'm really big into holistic health. Yeah, I
mhm.
ate 5 ice creams. Everybody's got their cheat day. but
Exactly.
but the higher percentage of Helen Edwards is into holistic health. I work out, I eat pretty healthy. I consider myself a selectitarian, and that's because I select what I eat and then I take full responsibility of
Mm,
the results that happen from it. And
mhm,
like the ice cream thing, I was lethargic today,
mm,
but I took responsibility, move on, right? But then you go back to this thing that's going on right now, and there's so much division, and I'm like, and it's even come to me like, okay, well, if I stand in my power, or I'm the warrior, the courageous person, do I believe this? Do I
mhm,
believe this? And I realized today I had to do some
mm,
surrendering to the um, idea of peace within, to be honest,
mm,
because I thought, okay, here's the facts for Helen. This is just my facts, not to persuade anybody. But standing in my power means I make an individual, conscious, and enlightened choice for Helen Edwards. That's what it means for me to stand in my power. And stand in my power means that I don't push my views or persuasion or manipulation on anybody else. No scare tactics, nothing. Just
mhm,
open conversation if I do have these conversations
mhm.
with people.
Yes.
Standing in my power means that I make the decision fully for myself,
Mhm,
not being persuaded or feared by, other people's opinions or facts or whatever they want to call it. That's what I realized today while I was working out. And
mm.
when I surrendered to that idea, that thought, I was like, yeah, I felt really good about myself. I was like, okay. And
Yes.
it's almost like a lot of the fear and a lot of the confusion and everything kind of just melted away when I realized, like, this is my decision. There is so much power in choice. And that power is
Yes.
not offered to a lot of people around the world. The fact that I've got this power to make this choice, that in itself is golden.
Yes.
That in itself is standing in my power,
Mhm,
you know? And I don't know where our listeners are in the world,
mm.
but if you have that choice, if you even have choice, that's powerful.
Heck yeah.
And allow yourself to make it for yourself and nobody else.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's amazing because you added some terms there as far as power and surrendering. It's very interesting because surrendering, we're thinking like let go, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? But it's like the power of just like freedom to be able to be
Hmm.
like, look, I'm making a conscious decision. There's a lot of speakers that discuss, the difference between whether somebody succeeds or not is based on the choices that they make every day. Like that's literally
Hmm.
it. You could choose to just like not do anything. That is a choice, right? We do
Hmm.
it consciously sometimes, most of the time. Or you could choose to be like, okay, I'm not going to just sit here. I'm going to make a difference in my world or in my environment. Those are
Hmm.
choices. Like we make choices. Some people be like, okay, well, you know, all this stuff is happening right now. Because that's what I'm glad that you brought it up because
Yeah.
I wanted to know how somebody like you is dealing with it, because it can be overwhelming. It can be
Hmm.
extremely overwhelming. It's so funny. I do food deliveries as well. So like I'll
Hmm.
go in and I think last night I was going and I'm just like, I could hear the TV through the window and I'm just like,
Hmm.
in my head, I'm like, is this person sitting there watching this every day? That was just a question because I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah.
literally don't know. They could have just got home and they started watching it, but I'm just like, oh my god! It's like, can I escape it? Because when I'm in my car driving, I'm listening to some 1970s vibes, or I'm
Yeah.
listening to like some podcasts. Okay, sometimes I
Yes.
really need to listen to a little Bee Gees. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it's so interesting because some of us don't realize the conscious and unconscious thoughts that we or choices that we make, I should say, not the thoughts, the choices. Because like I mentioned to people, I'm like, I cannot tell you what to choose, but what I can mention is be a watcher of what you're drawn to and what you're resisting. That is how you're going to find out where you want to go. You know what I mean? Because some people are drawn to it, but how does that make you feel when you watch the news, go on social media, like, okay, what's going on with this and that? Like, how do you feel? If you feel good, hey, by all means, go ahead. But if you don't feel good, you need to question that. And why do you not want to, get into that? Because like even last year, I told my girlfriend, I was like, look, there's something going on here. I don't want to attach to what I call the societal consciousness, because I know for me, if I dive into that, I know my personality type, it's not going to be good for me. I'm not watching TV. I'm staying away from it. I feel like if there's something I need to know, I'm going to find out. But what we're going to do is hit up some of these parks. We're going to go for some walks. We're going to throw the football around, and we're going to live our best life. We're not going to attach to that, because the thing is, we don't realize how important it is to be aware of what we consume besides food. Food. I'm talking what you listen to, who you're around, everything. It's going to do stuff to your behavior. You got to realize you're still, we talk about how children are sponges, but we don't realize that still as an adult, you're a sponge too. You're still a sponge.
Yes. Oh yeah. Nail on the head. Boom. Mic drop. Boom. Boom.
But it's crazy. Like, you got to put it into words sometimes, because somebody will be like, I'm sick and tired of all this stuff going on. I'm sick and tired. I'm like, okay, but do you realize that you have a habit of every time you come home, you're watching it, you're looking it up, you're like, some of us, we don't realize our own habits. We don't realize them.
Yeah, I think too, like some people are scared to make the bad decision. And I think that, it's like, oh, you made a bad decision. Oh, you made a bad decision. Or I don't want to make the bad decision. And it kind of goes back to what you're talking about people pleasing. And, you want to save face in front of other people. And, circling to the end with that, when I said I'm a selectitarian, that goes into, what I do. If I choose to make this choice, I'm a smart woman.
Heck yeah.
I know I've looked into it. If I make a decision, it's because I'm ready to deal with the consequences of the results, period. And I'm not going to apologize for it. Or I'm not going to feel bad, because this is what I already knew that was coming or wasn't coming. There's no bad or good for me. I'm like you said, I'm aware. And a lot of people, they're not aware, and they're more looking at it out of fear and scared. And, it's bad if I don't, it's bad if I do, and unfortunately, that's where you are in life. I cannot go in and rescue you. You cannot come in and rescue me. Like, this is where we are in our life. And this is the level of the game that we're all on, and I've said this in my book, that some people view life as a game, as love, as whatever you view life as. I view life as a game. I'm here to win. And if I open the wrong door, I open the wrong door. That's just how I view it. And I think that takes a lot of stress and a lot of fear off of me. And that's just how I do it. And I can't force somebody I'm not going to try to force somebody or change somebody's mind and the way they think, because it's taken me a lot of tools, a lot of practice, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of pain and suffering to get to where I am today, that a lot of people may or may have not gone through, so that's why I've kind of let go, the surrendering. I surrendered to the peace. I've surrendered to it. I'm not going to be responsible for other people's opinions or what happens to other people. Like, especially like what I said, when my brother took his life, the 5 stages of grief, one of them was, what was it? Feeling like you had a blame on yourself. And I never went through that. Because I don't. I'm not to blame. You know, he's an adult. He made that decision. I'm not to blame for that. And that takes because, you know, people will even be mad at you for not going through that stage, you know, and like, no, yeah. And no, I'm not going to allow you, because you went through that stage, to make me feel bad for not going to that straight stage.
Right.
Again, we are at different points in our life, you know.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's all I got to say to you about that.
Yep. Give it up. Look, God got it. Universe has it.
Yeah. I want to see people succeed. I want to see you live your best life. I want to see you create memories, because I know that our life could be gone tomorrow, you know. And I also want to see people light up, help other people out there. But you got to do that by helping yourself first.
Absolutely. It was so funny. I don't know if you know about like RuPaul and RuPaul's Drag Race.
I love RuPaul. Yeah.
So, yeah. I remember he always has at the end of his show, I used to watch it a little bit more frequently, but he always says, like, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? You know, and that's true for many, many facets of life, even beyond love. Like, if you're going to, you know, in a sense, like, feel like, okay, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, in certain cases, yeah, whatever. But, you know, you got to have some knowledge to share before you share it. You know what I mean? You got to go through it. You got to go through it and grow through it and be like, look, I understand it sucks right now, but there's another side. Hold on. Yeah. Even if it is one more day, just hold on. Yeah. You know,
this too shall pass.
Yes.
I'm telling you guys, like, there's a lot of stuff in the past we didn't think we'd get through. We did. You know, there's a lot of things that people said this would last forever, and it didn't. This too shall pass. That's just the way evolution works.
Absolutely. So Helen, is there anything else that you would like to add, or where can we find you on social media? How can we find you? Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah. Thank you, Stacey. I'll take it from here. You can find me. you can find me on Instagram, Sexy Freedom Media, or Hell of a Journey with one L, HEL. You can also find me on Facebook, Sexy Freedom Media, or go straight to my website, sexyfreedom.com.
Awesome. And when is the California retreat?
So the California retreat got moved to March 25th through the 27th in 2022. That's in Castaic, California, a little bit north of LA. And it's going to be on a ranch. So that should be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Helen, thank you so much for your time. I always appreciate our conversation. I can't wait to share this. It's probably going to be out like later in September. But I always appreciate our time, because I just feel like we align in certain ways. And I just want other people to know that even through darkness, you know, there's always light. And I feel like you're the person to kind of be that light, to kind of share it and be like, look, like there is another side, like, even though it may be dark now, like, just hold on, you know. So thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody.